It's time to feel the rage. Welcome to Film Rage, where we talk movies in theater, streaming, and classic films as well. Directors and actors beware, as you cannot hide from the rage. My name is Bryce, and I'm part of the Film Rage crew, which also includes Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Bryce.
And also this week, we have a very special guest, the man who is the voice of Rage or Dare. It is our man, Casey, a.k.a. the Nerdy Photographer. How goes it, Casey?
Hello. Welcome to me.
Yes.
That's right.
All right.
Excited to be here, guys.
Nice.
Right on. We're excited to have you. So with the introductions out of the way, let's rage on.
Oh, baby. A Casey episode. I don't think I'll be able to contain my loins today.
Gird your loins as much as you can.
Nice. Okay, well, thanks to all who've been supporting us. If you love our independent podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star rating on your listening platform. Or support us and join the Film Rage community by joining a membership at buymeacoffee.com/Film Rage YYC. If you cannot commit to a membership, you can still buy us a movie rental and dare us to see a terrible movie. And we will probably watch it. And if it played in theaters, we will absolutely watch it. Now, let's get to Ragin'. But first, here's a word from our sponsor.
Hey, Bryce, what are you doing tonight?
I'm going to my favorite cinema, Canyon Meadows Cinema, to see the best second-run movies at the best price.
What? How inexpensive are they?
Regular price is $5.
Regular price is $5. Makes me hope they also serve pizza.
They do, plus a lot of other great food choices. Plus, I'm planning my office Christmas party there. They can host a plethora of options for any get-together. Gaming, movie, drag show.
Drag show? Now I know where I'm planning my next party.
Hey, maybe you think there's a Liam Neeson or a superhero movie planned?
I hope not. But maybe there'll be a great independent documentary.
Sure. Call CMC at 403-670-5444 to book a special event or go online at canyonmeadowscinema.ca.
Okay. Now we get to the grit. This is actually a special episode, not just because Casey's here, but this is our whole episode for this week. How special do you feel now, Casey?
I feel super special. I feel so special. Like, I'm glad I wore a clean t-shirt for this.
And pants. Casey is officially wearing no pants.
Not pants. Shorts.
Are they? Wait,
Shorts.
I can't really see. So are these like hot pants?
No. They're very cold at the moment. I sat in an ice bath before coming into my office because I couldn't run the air conditioning while I'm in here.
So you're like us. You're in a sweat box as you're,
Yes.
as you're recording. Nice.
Exactly.
Well,
So
Casey.
the healthy glow is actually a sheen of sweat.
Nice. Tell our listeners everything they wanted to know about the Nerdy Photographer, but we're also not afraid to ask.
Well, let me tell you, the Nerdy Photographer is my mission to teach people both about photography and having fun with photography, and both be it's edutainment. There's the podcast itself has grown into both a science fiction comic book storytelling device, as well as having interviews and other informative photography related information. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform just under Nerdy Photographer Podcast, and I'm available on pretty much all the social medias at The Nerdy Photo. That's at The Nerdy Photo.
Yes, and he has some amazing TikTok-like videos that we get to see on the Instagramming, which are fantastic. I might
I do them on TikTok. There's other stuff that ends up on TikTok that I also do, where I've actually have developed quite a following and do some story time things that people seem to love, which I was completely surprised out of nowhere. Things actually, like, people were like, "Oh, we want to listen to this," and I was like, "Really?" It was kind of a shock to me. It was the first time that's ever happened to me on social media.
Well, they are finally getting to know what we have known for a few years now, is that there's not much that we don't love about you.
Oh, you're too kind.
No, I'm actually not.
Seriously.
I'm just truthful. Although Bryce is more truthful than I am for the most part.
I tend to be pretty blunt when it comes to things. I don't give myself a lot of credit. I've been working on that. I appreciated the praise, Jim. It's just a little pat on the back. Who's actually a leprechaun? He sits on my shoulder and tells me I did good things.
I keep my leprechaun in my pocket.
So, front or back?
Both, actually. One in each.
Oh, hey, you got double leprechauns.
That's true. I'm doubly lucky, too. So this week, the only movie we're going to be talking about is the movie Prey, which apparently is on Disney Plus in Canada.
Yeah.
And I think it's on some other things. Is it Hulu or something in the States?
On Hulu in the States.
Yeah. Do you have also Disney Plus, by the way?
I have both, but I've not seen it in the States on Disney Plus. But a lot of things just popped up on Disney Plus because I checked it yesterday. For some reason, I thought it's another show was coming out on Disney Plus, but it's actually coming out tomorrow. And I saw a lot of new things there that I had not seen before. So I need to go and sort through that.
Yeah.
But no, it's on. It's been advertised here in the United States to stream on Hulu. So I don't think it's on.
We don't actually get Hulu up here, so that's probably why Disney said, you know what, let's buy that and stick it there. Which
let's get ourselves some more streaming content.
Exactly, and I'm sure glad they're putting all kinds of good stuff in here. So I will start to talk about Prey. Rewatching the original Predator, the first thing you learn is that the coolest person and the smartest person, right from the very beginning, is Sonny Landham, who plays Billy, the First Nations character in the film. And if you can believe it, he really is of First Nations ethnicity. So kudos to the original film in the franchise for being a beacon of ethnic diversity and making what I'm guessing was planting the seeds to finally get the right people hunting Predator. But what Predator did right for ethnicity in the film, they still fucked up the stupid sexist commentary about what appears to be a homophobic dialogue in true fashion of the 80s. Way to fuck up a good start, Predator. Way to go. So, fast forward 35 years. Ship the filming to the greatest film location to shoot a film on the Universal Plain, and that is Calgary, Alberta, where this fantastic film was shot. And we get the latest in the Predator franchise. After seeing this film, I have to remind people that I love ladies who kick ass and punch dicks and apparently throw axes. I love the relationship building of our lead and their family, the detail in the life of the Indigenous people lived, such as the herbs, depending if who you're talking to, and hunting and foraging, which, although contrasts with the technology of the Predator, it shows smarts and ingenuity can defeat a higher evolved species. When and where have we heard that? Colonize much? Maybe. I wish there was a better way to show bears, wolves, lions, tigers, or whatever else they're going to put
Snakes.
Other than snakes, thank you. Aside from CGI, because there was a lot of that. But there is also a lot of good practical effects in this. Not only did I rewatch the original Predator, I also rewatched the entire franchise, including the Alien Predator mashups. Gotta say, I love the versions of Predators that aren't making friends with humans. This race of aliens are a war-driven battle species, always trying to find the biggest challenge. I love the message that it takes a village to fight the Predator, but it takes a smart, ass-kicking, dick-punching, axe-wielding, powerful female warrior to deliver its head for spiking purposes. CGI was terrible, but Prey to me was Mondo. I loved it. And I got some unpacking to do, but we'll do that after.
We'll do that later.
Yeah. Casey, what do you think of
Me?
Prey?
One word comes to mind when I think of Prey.
Okay.
That is refreshing.
Okay.
This film finds a way to refresh a once fun franchise that has grown stale from absent-minded overuse. Instead of trying to find the bigger, newer, shinier toys for the characters to use, Prey simplifies things and goes back to basics by setting the film 300 years in our past. The performances by Amber Midthunder and the rest of the indigenous First Nations actors, as well as the dog in the movie, are engrossing and intimate. And as a nice touch, you can also watch the film dubbed in the Comanche language as well, at least here in the States.
Yep, here too.
Prey blends an indigenous First Nations coming-of-age story with a science fiction thriller which evokes the feelings that I got watching the first film. Yes, we've seen the Predator before, but we have not seen this Predator. An alien hunter who is not as technologically advanced as those we've seen in previous movies, this Predator is both more savage and more vulnerable than those we have seen in past films. Furthermore, we finally get to see the Predator hunt something other than people. And, as in the original film, it's not the biggest weapon which wins the battle, but rather cunning and ingenuity. The film is wonderfully paced at an hour and 39 minutes. It is patient without being plotting, masterfully building tension over the course of the movie until we finally learn who is the predator and who is the prey.
Well said. So,
Nice.
what would you rate this?
I'd give it a Mondo.
All right.
Totally
That is 2 Mondos.
2 Mondos.
Something tells me the CGI may have put Bryce over the edge, but maybe it was something else.
Let's see. So, as has been mentioned, Prey comes out 35 years after the original and takes place 300 years ago. It is a sci-fi period piece about a Native American tribe that must outsmart an alien invader. I'm surprised this got made with that concept.
I know.
But I am glad there are some forward thinkers that made it happen. We have some sweeping cinematography that is breathtaking. We have a powerful score that drives the story. And the best thing we got was a star-making turn from young Amber Midthunder as our kick-ass young female warrior who wants to hunt with the rest of the guys in her tribe. It does not take long for us to learn that she can not only hang with the men, but surpass them in many ways. Towards the beginning, we got some suspect CGI involving a snake. But from there on in, the CGI was
Still
passable.
terrible.
It was passable. It didn't bug me as much as that one sequence.
Yeah.
Which honestly is all you can hope for because CGI sucks even when it's done well. The story of this young warrior develops throughout, and the encounters with the Predator are tense and well laid out. I was rooting for her from the start, and the final showdown was not a letdown as so many of these films tend to be. Plus, we got the nod to the original Predator when Naru, our kick-ass female lead, says, "I don't think this thing can be killed," to which her brother Tabe says,
Yes.
"If it bleeds, we can kill it." Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It does.
And then when young Naru
Sounds real
takes
familiar.
when young Naru takes said blood and applies it as war paint, I was ready for the final battle. This is by far my favorite Predator movie, which was hit and miss over the years. I am glad that they took this one where they did. It was a sweeping epic with a standout performance from Midthunder, which makes this an unexpected Mondo.
What? Triple banger.
Mondo.
Do we have a button for that?
We do.
Do you know where this
Mondo! Mondo! Mondo!
I gotta admit, I did not. I thought something like as bad as the CGI, I thought would have taken Bryce away out of his head
It was
and into something
honestly
else.
the CGI wasn't that bad except for that
I
snake
agree with
scene.
Bryce on that.
That snake
I agree
scene
with
was
Bryce.
yeah.
CGI wasn't, like, in my opinion, the CGI wasn't terrible. And also, here's another reason you should be on TikTok. I've been seeing tons of behind the scenes videos from this movie, including from the actor who plays the Predator and other people who worked on the effects. There are a ton of practical effects
Yep.
in there. The CGI is mostly limited to those big animals.
Yeah.
And a few of the weapons of the
Alien,
Predator.
which, yeah, makes sense, right?
And,
Like,
but the thing is, they have practical things on set that they're like he
Yeah.
throws at people, but like there's just things that obviously. And I don't know if you caught this. I know you brought up, Bryce, the call back to if it bleeds we can kill it.
Yep.
The gun at
Yeah.
the very end.
Yes.
Of the movie. It brings us back to Predator 2
yep.
with Danny Glover,
Yes.
which I was surprised. I was like, oh shit, really? We're keeping the canon of Predator 2?
It made me smile.
It made me smile too, because I'm like, when I rewatched the Predator 2, I hadn't seen it since I saw it in cinemas, however many years ago that was. And I actually enjoyed it more this time because it's so bad. It's funny. I laughed all
Gary
the way
Busey.
through it. Oh, Gary Busey's so good in it. Like,
He's so good. He chews so much scenery.
Oh.
It's just lions, tigers, bears. Oh my! He's on safari.
it's just like, I don't think Gary Busey's ever been better. Like, he was just so good.
I will say, and this is going to come up later, and I have some things to talk about, which involve Gary Busey, where I think he was
Nice.
better.
Okay.
Point Break.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? There's just movies that you don't go back to sometimes, and you think, oh yeah, he was in that, and he was in that, and he was in that. Before he went crazy, he was in. He was an amazing actor.
He was in a horrible bike accident.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well,
he
that's
was in a
kinda
horrible
bad.
motorcycle
Let's face it, though, he was always a little.
He was a little.
He
wacky.
was always
Sure.
a little nutty.
Yeah.
It just amplified the nuttiness. But yeah, I mean, I was not turned off by the CGI
No.
in this film at all. I was, yeah.
So many times it takes you right out of it, and it absolutely
Yes.
didn't this time.
See, it took me out a little bit only because it's CGI, and they did such a good job with the nature of everything else. It was kind of throwing me off, but it didn't affect my love of this movie in any way, shape, or form. Like
Those were pretty small moments actually in the film, like the mountain lion, the snake. The snake was bad.
yes,
The
the
mountain
bear,
really bad.
the wolf, the rabbit.
The bear. Yeah, the bear. Like
bear
it
was
didn't last that long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it was fairly quick. It wasn't like a huge chunk of the movie. I think that's why it didn't take us out of it so much. It was like, okay, this is like 15 seconds.
yeah, and they
Very
focus on so many other things in it too, right? Like that one scene with her throwing the axe back and forth between the
Yes.
trees, probably my favorite scene of any
Oh, yeah.
Predator. Better than the hand grasp. Better than get to the chopper. Better than so many.
Guys, what are you doing?
Get back to the chopper.
Do it. What are you waiting for? Come on.
It's so much better than that. Like that scene alone, I was just like, this person can fucking kick some dick. I was so excited.
She totally like in the vein of Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, and Jamie Lee Curtis and Halloween. Like she is an ass kicking, like
Dick punching.
tour de force. Like, and I don't know if you guys have seen it's a TV show, so I don't know if you've seen it. Legion. Amber Midthunder was in this
No.
show.
Oh, really? Well, guess what we're watching this weekend?
It's like several seasons, and it is a brilliant series. It is. You talk about cinematography, and she plays actually this guy who can split himself into two beings, and one of the beings is her. He imagined her, and like she is like basically this thing that kept him safe. Like she is this indigenous warrior who like he was able. That was his special power, was to be like he created her
Okay.
to fight his battles for him.
Oh, so she's
They're
ass
not the main
kicking in that
characters.
too then.
Oh yeah,
She's
she
obviously
kicks
pretty
the
ripped,
butt.
and
None
actually
of
works
that.
out on a regular basis. She
Yeah,
just
and
didn't
she
have
was
to
also
get.
in the TV show Roswell.
Oh, okay. Two shows. Well,
yeah, there you go. Well, this was my introduction to Amber Midthunder, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
was blown away.
yeah, never
He
seen.
was fantastic.
So there's.
I thought that like, go ahead.
Oh
Sorry.
no, go ahead. No, finish.
I thought what was really gripping about her performance was how she the I want to be one of the guys portion of things is that's kind of a well-trodden path. But it was the way in which she was like, you guys don't understand. Like it was very much like she's not just trying to be like tomboyish here. It's because, she's like, she's smart. This character is super intelligent and learns. Like, you want to talk about she is obviously the smartest character in this film.
Oh, by far. Except for maybe her mom, although her mom lives under the tradition because her mom makes a couple of wise comments to her about certain things, like when she's talking about her dog and about not all intelligent things can be trained.
Right. And here's the thing. There's one thing I love that her brother is like a huge supporter of her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to...
He knows her skills.
Right. He's like, I'm going to get you on this. Like, you better track this thing because
this is your shot.
Everybody you can do it. But also he tells her like, I was able to kill the mountain lion because you weakened it.
Yep. Yeah. If it wasn't like, and that was about the team, right? Like the two of them together were a really good team as a brother-sister duo, right?
Yes. But when they get captured later on and they're working to get out of this, like from the trappers, who I also have to give a shout out. Like, the trappers are evil bastards.
Yep.
But the depiction of how they try to go about hunting the predator is awesome. These guys are hunters.
Yep.
They are also hunters. Like, we're seeing like different approaches to hunting. They will burn the forest so that it can't hide in the trees.
Yes.
And we're going to set up traps everywhere.
Yeah.
These guys, like, they're not stupid. I mean, like, they can't like, they're well underarmed and prepared for this fight, but they go about it as well as they can given what they have.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the guy who gives her the gun,
the one who speaks multiple languages,
seems to know things about the predator species. And I don't know if it's because they've just been watching this thing for the last week or whatever it's been. But
I think he's just smarter than the rest of them. I think I got the impression he was just smarter than the rest of them because he did have a little bit more. He was more in tune with everything else that was going around him. Like, he didn't feel they needed to do certain things, and also keep in mind that the hunters were always the top of the food chain. They'd never hunted anything they weren't top of the food chain, right?
Right, but that's also the indigenous characters. The journey, the coming of age journey, is to hunt something that will hunt you. And like, what a perfect like dichotomy between the predator and the prey.
Yeah,
who is the predator? Who is the prey?
Yeah.
Like, this is a great thing. Like, we're hunting each other, and that this is part of their culture.
Yep.
As opposed to these hunters who are just like so used to.
Well,
we're gonna trap something.
Well, and the hunters, and it does tell a little bit of history, actually, which actually kind of leads into one of the unpacking that I wanted to do was, it wasn't just the French. But in this, it's kind of interesting how they made the French the bad guys in this. Because it does, I know it's supposed to take place in the U.S., but it is actually filmed in Canada. So when you're watching it from a Canadian lens and the bad guys are French, it's kind of like, okay, what was the intent of that? I think from a maybe for the story perspective, they put it in French because they wanted everybody that was watching it to also not be able to understand what was being said unless you spoke French. So it's kind of like,
I don't think that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that was the case because I was reading up on the development of this film a little bit, and they chose the French because where they set this, that's who would have been there, like at that time.
Yeah,
they were like, okay, they were trying to be as accurate as possible as to who the hunters and trappers would be, and it would have been mostly French.
Yeah, well, the French were a big part of the trapping in Canada at that time too, with the indigenous communities. That's why the Métis actually came out of the the French and indigenous people. They were the first people to really do that whole Western North America, right? So, but I thought it was kind of good because if they would have been English, they would have been having to speak English, and yet we're listening to it in English because so we can understand it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to have.
Was a good device.
It was.
Yeah. The other thing, well, there's a few, but the scene where there's another scene that I really liked, which was the Predator and her both licking their wounds together at the same time. That scene where he's doing his cleaning of wounds and whatnot, and then she's doing hers with her natural remedies and stuff.
With her herbs.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, she is like that. I saw that moment where she embodies both the hunter of her culture and the healer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. Yeah, I think that showing that she has abilities that most of those guys do not have in her community, like to be able to heal themselves. They
needed her for that earlier in the movie too, right?
Yep, she saves that dude who got attacked by the mountain lion.
So yeah, I would say for me this was the best for sure in the franchise. You already said it was for you too.
Yeah, it was for me for sure.
Would you say the same for you, Casey?
It's number 2 for me because I love the original.
Okay.
Just because it's the original. That's the only reason.
Okay.
And I give the original its place as number, but this is a super close.
Yeah.
Second, like they're rubbing up against each other, and I just give that because there are also so many great nods in here, like when she's coming out of the mud, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be how she she's gonna disguise herself, but it's not. She's gonna use the herbs to slow down her
metabolism.
Metabolism, and just like that's how she's gonna like disguise herself. Like that, like we're gonna make you think we're repeating something, but we're not.
Yeah. There was a lot of clever stuff like that
they tied into it for sure. Yeah, and even just the whole fact that it takes place 300 years in the past was,
it made it so much more visceral.
Yeah.
Than a lot of the AVP movies or The Predator.
Yeah.
I generally like Shane Black's writing. I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the Nice Guys. Like I generally love his writing, but the Predators, the Predator was awful. And the AVP movies,
they're unwatchable.
I shake my head. They're awful.
They're funny.
Like, why did you bring Lance Henriksen into an Alien versus Predator movie?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What about they brought in our man Adrian Brody in for Predators.
Predators. I actually, you know what?
I didn't
Predators. I
That's
don't
because
mind
Adrian
Predators.
Brody's in it.
I've met Adrian Brody. He's a lovely person. Predators doesn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
Because it's like it tries to separate itself, but it's just like now we can't have the alien. The Predator has realized I can't just set down on this planet and
Have my way with them.
behave willy-nilly. I can't just do what I want on this planet anymore. Like people are gonna see me or whatever. So I'm just gonna kidnap people and bring them to a planet where I can hunt them. And it has elements to it that I think are like the Topher Grace killer character. It's great. I think that's a great thing that change in things. Like we're gonna spice this up in some ways. Adrian Brody's character is a little too cool.
Yes.
Like the thing, one of the things I love about Arnold's character in the original is he freaks the fuck out,
Which is appropriate.
Right. There's a fucking alien hunting you.
Yes. Who's smarter and stronger and faster and invisible?
Yeah. Like, why shouldn't you be concerned about all of these fucking things? Like, these are all things you should be scared of, which is why Billy's line when he's like, "What's out there ain't no man." Like, and he's just like, "I'm gonna go out a warrior." I'm just gonna take my fucking machete and like, let's do this thing. Because he knows he can't win.
But it's also like every single Arnie movie. It gets down to the end and it's like, okay, take your gear off, put your guns away. Let's do this Mano a Predator.
That's not every Arnold movie.
It's pretty
As I
much
recall,
every
Commando.
Arnie movie. That's what I'm not saying
he
they're
puts
good.
every gun available on himself.
Yes, but at the end of Commando, he has to battle that guy in the basement.
You know who that guy is? That guy is also the Mohawk dude from Road Warrior.
Yes.
And they turned him into like chainmail wearing fat Freddie Mercury for Commando.
It was awesome. I love that. That was one of my favorite Arnie moments. All right.
Hey, Bennett, blow off some steam.
I can't believe you remember every one of these lines. In fact, I actually love it, by the way.
You know what? If you talk to my wife, she'd be like, you should use a little bit of that brain power for something.
For the greater good. This is the greater good. Come on. All right. Well, I think we've given 3 Mondos to the prey, and now we're going to talk about some things we don't like.
Temperature rising. Vision blurring. Rage taking over.
All right.
Can I just say that, like, this is how I knew I loved you guys' show, because that line from Mystery Men. I am Mr. Furious a lot of times.
So are we.
Yeah, it's just like, when I heard that, I went, yeah, fuck yeah. Yes. Rage, no, Rage, really, right?
Really taking over.
All right. So my rage this week is dumping Prey on streaming platforms when it should have been seen on the big screen. They took by far the best entry, in my opinion, in the Predator series and made it lesser by the way they have chosen to present it. From the sound to the cinematography to the sweeping score, it all should have been presented in grand style on a giant screen at the cinema. Seeing this with an audience would have been the way to see it. That is my rage.
You know, the saddest part about your rage was also my rage, but now I'm going to have to come up with another rage.
You told me to go first this time.
I did. So I just see he was bitching with me before the show started. He's like, "You never put me first. Never. I can't deal with change."
You always want to close strong, Jim, which is why I should always close.
Okay, we know that's not true. But Casey, would you agree? Like, would you have rather have seen this in cinemas?
Yes. I would have paid to see this in the cinema, and I think that it would have been much better, a much better experience. Even though I loved it on my TV, I would have loved it even more in the theater.
An IMAX.
Something like this was meant to be seen on the big screen, and with an audience.
Yeah. And
here's the thing that I've found in the development of this project, which has been going on for quite a while. They've been trying to develop this before Predator, the Shane Black version came out. They were trying to get this movie made.
Oh, really?
They were developing it.
Wow.
They just stuck with it, and they didn't want to. My guess is the studio just didn't want to risk putting it in theaters. They're like, this is going to go straight to streaming, and they had, because of COVID, didn't know what they were going to do with it.
Oh, wow.
A lot of is development limbo, and it's a brilliant movie, and I would have loved to have seen it in theaters, and I hope that it actually gets a theatrical release.
Yeah,
because it's super well received.
Yeah. Maybe it'll get a second run now. Maybe if it comes to cinemas, I'll definitely go see it.
Yeah, there's other movies that are getting, like Maverick's coming back out on.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Maverick.
Feelings about that movie. Who's raging next?
That's you, buddy.
Let me tell you, what really upsets me these days.
I want to hear it.
Unfucking warranted reboots.
Oh, baby.
I recently heard a story about Jake Gyllenhaal has signed on to do a reboot remake of Roadhouse.
No. What?
Yes.
Ugh.
And this goes into the stack of why the fuck are you doing this? Entries into cinema history that include the Point Break remake that they did, and other things. But like, they're looking at a Highlander remake with Henry Cavill playing Connor McLeod.
This is like so sacrilegious. It's not even funny. Like, I have this thing about if a movie's bad, let it stay bad. Don't try and make it better. And if a movie was great, just let it be great. Don't reboot shit. They don't need it.
My thoughts on that is like, if a film, like we were talking about CGI and bad CGI, bad effects. If a movie had like the whatever, like here's a movie I would love to see remade. Crawl. I loved Crawl.
I love Crawl.
But the effects kind of hurt Crawl. There are some moments that I feel like, remember, but you got Liam Neeson's, you got Robbie Coltrane. There's just a lot going on there. I love that movie. But, and I probably would be mad if they actually did remake it. But like Highlander, how the fuck are you remaking Highlander? It's just a money grab piece of shit. And how does Henry Cavill sign on for this? And also, how do you have Henry Cavill playing Connor McLeod? Because Connor McLeod is supposed to be like, you don't know that he's going to win. Who is going to intimidate Henry Cavill? Like, who's the Kurgan to Henry Cavill's Connor McLeod? There's only one person I can think of, and it's Alexander Skarsgård. And I don't know that he would go back to that role because it's too similar to what he played in True Blood.
Yep.
But he's taller.
Yep.
And
he
has the sense of humor.
The Rock could do it.
I think The Rock is,
The Rock can't do everything there, Jim.
The Rock can't do everything.
Why not?
And, honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I believe The Rock as Kurgan. Kurgan just is like, he's fucking evil. And it's just like, happy Halloween, ladies. Like you can't. Why are you remaking that movie? Who's gonna play Ramirez? They'll probably get like Antonio Banderas to play Ramirez.
But Ramirez was like, yeah, maybe somebody who's actually Spanish this time. Maybe
but he's Egyptian.
Egyptian Spanish.
Yeah, I don't know. you can't. You have the manners of a goat and you smell like a dung heap.
It's true.
You have no idea whatsoever of your potential. You can't redo that fucking movie. Oh, but like this Roadhouse movie, what really makes me angry about it, and just I want to fucking punch a hole through the fucking wall.
Do it.
It's gonna be. He's a former UFC fighter, of course.
Okay.
Which, how does that fucking fit in with the original character? Not at all.
I don't know.
Dalton's a guy who is everything is about, cool it off, and it's gonna be set in the Florida fucking Keys.
Of
How
course.
is that Roadhouse?
Well, because
there are no roads
in
the fucking Florida Keys.
They have bridges, Casey. They'll be on like bridges, and they'll be shirtless because it'll be hot. Boathouse.
Outhouse.
Boathouse.
Outhouse is better, actually.
But that Outhouse is good. I like Outhouse. Boathouse, I think, though, the name of that is actually that's the replacement sequel with Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Falco. He's living on the boathouse.
That's right.
Yeah, fuck this remake bullshit. Like, what the hell? That is not like, you're just slapping the IP, the intellectual property, the name on something to try to get people into theaters, whatever. When this is a story, I'm sorry, the story of Roadhouse is not fucking original. Like, in any way. It is Walking Tall. That is like, the story of the small town where there's a big bad guy who's trying to run the town, and the guy who comes in stands up to him. That is like 1,000 fucking movies. You don't need to call it Roadhouse.
It's Footloose. Exactly.
Footloose. Yes. Come on, Kevin Bacon. 2 degrees removed from Kevin Bacon.
There you go.
This guy right here.
Who's got 2 thumbs and is 2 degrees away from Kevin Bacon. Nice. Yeah,
I was in a show with. I don't know if you've ever heard. If I told you this story.
Let's have it.
I was in a show with a guy, an actor named Eugene Anthony, and he was in the Blues Brothers.
Yes.
He's the Illinois Nazi who says, "I've always loved you." And John Belushi, who's in Blues Brothers, is in Animal House with Kevin Bacon.
There you go. 2 degrees. Your rage, though, is very common on our podcast. We rage about that very thing quite often. I would agree. Well said. And Jake Gyllenhaal, just so you know, up until 1 movie ago, was on our undoubted list. So he'd made 8 movies that were either Mondo, all Mondo, or Mondo with one man between them.
Which is shocking.
But now every single movie he makes is rage.
Now it's all garbage.
It's all fucking garbage. You know what? I also have to say, like, he stalked me for about 6 months.
Nice.
That's going to be a story on my own podcast.
There we go.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned to the Nerdy Photographer.
See,
My wife didn't believe it until she actually saw it.
Did he have like little binoculars and he was poking out behind a tree?
Wait for the Nerdy Photographer podcast.
Now I want to hear
coming.
It's all like baiting the hook. Come on, man.
All right, planting the seeds. Okay, listeners, ragers, we all want to know what happened with Casey and Ryan Gosling.
There's so many stories.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry, I mix those two
Where
up
did
all the time.
Ryan Gosling come from?
I don't know. They both remind me of
If
each
it was
other.
Ryan
is
Gosling,
wrong
I would've been
with
down
you?
for that shit.
Okay, well, my rage this week is going to be a little anticlimactic. But because I have seen the trailer for the new James Cameron film,
Okay.
you know, the
Like a
blue
mermaid?
guys.
Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar 2 or something.
Avatar 2, I fucked a mermaid.
Yeah, that's right. Avatar 2, I fucked a mermaid. Because I've seen the previews for that, and I know how good CGI can be, my complaint this week is a better snake in the movie we just watched. That's my rage this week.
That is the weakest rage that you.
Pretty weak. Right?
Oh,
Do we
man.
have that button that goes wah wah?
We don't.
I have one.
There you go.
I have one in here somewhere.
Let's have it.
Nope.
It's so close.
It's pretty. That makes it sound more suspenseful than it was.
No, that's
Hey,
wrong.
He's just randomly pressing buttons now. It's awesome.
That's
Of course, it was the
it.
last one.
That's the one. Yeah, well, mine was stolen, so I had to come up with one. And I love this movie so much, I had hardly anything to rage about. So the only thing that made me upset was the snake. So that's it.
We didn't get to talk about it at all. I don't think we mentioned it. This is the dog's first acting ever. It had not been trained at all.
Ah.
They brought this dog in from a rescue.
Oh, really?
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And they brought it in. They were like, seems to be a pretty smart dog, and it's historically accurate.
So there you go.
Nice.
First time around.
See, and we can end it on a happy note.
Yeah.
All right.
Trying to make you happy. I'm trying to bring the blood pressure down a little bit, Jim.
There we go. And on that note,
Yes.
Rage subsiding. Pulse slowing. Anger fading.
all right. We are talking the lists. This is again, because we're doing a special Casey episode, all nerdy photographer all the time. We have allowed Casey, because he is now officially an honorary member, if not an actual member of the Film Rage family, because he has the most important role in it, which is the voice of Rage or Dare.
The most important role.
The most
Exactly.
important. I wasn't feeling the pressure before, but now
But now he is.
it's sinking in.
So as our 5th honorary member, because we have the 3 of us,
We're
who's the other
honorary
one?
members.
Well, we have 3 of us, which is who? Me, you, and who's the other one in our group?
It's
It's Murray.
Murray.
Yeah, so there's the 3 of us, including Murray.
I'm never gonna see a merman.
Yeah, you might see a merman, but you know what? Once you do, you'll never forget. So there's the 3 of us, and we have George, from the best little horror house in Philly.
Horror house in Philly.
Yes, horror house. Well, George is
Stop calling it a horror house.
George is a whore, so that's okay. He'd feel pretty happy that I called him that. Who has been a supporter of us since our first day on the job. So he's been an honorary member with us. And now, the nerdy photographer himself. So, as an honorary member of Film Rage, Casey was put to task to go look at our list page. We have created a fantastic list for him to choose from, and he is going to be allowed to create a Mesmerized for Life. And so, just to remind some people as to who is Mesmerized for Life at this point, we have Wanda Sykes, who's Bryce's. We have Russell Crowe, who's Murray's. We have Veronica Cartwright, which was George's. And we have Sean Penn, who is mine. And Casey, I know you took this job very seriously when you had to review.
I asked a lot of questions.
You did, but it was good because, as George had said when he made his choice, he said he can see maybe some of these other people being able to withstand being withdrawn. And so his
honestly,
choice.
I'm not sure that this person would actually ever be withdrawn. But to me, on many levels, this person is the most mesmerizing actor. And to an extent of which I would go to see a film just because I know that they have a cameo in it. I would go see a film. And that person is Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
Fair.
Which, in all honesty, it's kind of like he does play mostly cameos in films. He's been on and off in more TV shows of late.
In mainstream films.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? He steals the scene from everybody. We just saw him in the Infinite Madness of Dr. Parnassus or whatever that one was.
The
Very
Imaginarium of Dr.
No, he was in the Sam Raimi movie.
The strange.
The one with the strange
Sam
dude.
Raimi
Strange doctor from
Parnassus?
alternate dimension.
Yeah, that
Mr.
one.
Weird.
Yeah.
Dr. Weird.
And
Dr. Weird. That's the one.
Dr. Weirdo.
Dr. Weirdo.
And he made pizza balls.
In
So
the
Pizza balls.
multi-universe of spectacular something.
spectacular
You know
pizza
what?
balls.
That movie, I don't know. I thought that was another movie where I thought it could have been a lot more than it was.
Yeah.
But his performance in it made me crack.
Oh,
me up.
yeah. It's worth seeing for Bruce Campbell alone.
The end when it's like,
Yes.
it's over. It's just. I haven't even got my little, Ash,
Nice.
Funko sitting here on my desk. He watches over me.
It's the best. The best portrayal of Elvis ever, too.
Oh,
Bubba
yeah.
Hotep. Come on.
Bubba Hotep.
Yeah.
I own that fucking movie, and it is
It's brilliant.
Yeah, that
it
movie.
is so good.
Yeah.
And Ozzie Davis as
JFK.
JFK. When you see him changing out the sand, it's in his head. That's so good.
Love that
And
movie.
the thing is, not only do I love the films of Bruce Campbell, I really like him as a person.
He seems like a good guy.
I've read his biography. I don't know if you've had a chance, if Chins Could Kill. But he gets into a lot of what it's like to be a B-movie actor, just working all the time.
Yeah.
To just make a living. And you think, he's you think I'm a star? I make maybe 6 figures a year, maybe, if I'm working really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because of everything that he's the year that they made Army of Darkness, which people think of as a pretty big success for him. He's I made $250,000 for that movie.
Wow. He should have got
2
more
years.
shares in it, I think.
Well, he's a producer, so I'm guessing he's made more money off of it over time. But he's the initial payout was $250,000. That was for 2 years. He had just gotten divorced. He's so immediately half is going in the divorce. I've got to pay 10% to my agent. I got to pay X amount to AFTRA and SAG and all these other people, and then to and then I got to pay taxes. He's I made $50,000.
Oh no!
He makes more
Working on
going to Comic-Con or
Conventions
or HorrorCon, and he gets paid $50 or $100 for a picture.
Yeah, he loves his fans.
Yeah.
He loves his fans so much. I've met him in person 3 times at different things, and he is genuinely interested in his fans. Not only because they pay his bills, but he sees them as real people.
Yeah.
And not just a paycheck. And when I saw him at his book tour for If Chins Could Kill, he was doing questions, Q&A, and I got up and I said, I too am originally from Michigan. I'm an actor. This was back before I went full time in photography, and I was acting. And I said to him, "Hey, what's your? Not all of us can fall into the pot of gold that is growing up with Sam Raimi. And what is your advice to a young actor trying to make it?" And he said, "Have a timeline for yourself, because you don't want to sit here and come back to yourself 10 years later and be like, what the hell did I do with my life? Have goals, and when that you regularly examine, and if you don't reach those goals, sit back and go okay, what am I doing? Okay, what's happening in my life?" And that actually stuck with me, and I found very interesting is something that somebody's saying. And during the pandemic, my wife got me a virtual meet and greet with Bruce for my birthday. And
he does that too. He really is working hard for his money.
It was part of another thing. He was part of you could pay for it as part of he was doing a screening of.
Wow.
He was doing a screening of Evil Dead 2, and he was doing oh, this is what happened. Oh, so many things I learned about Evil Dead 2. Their process, because he was a producer on that as well, and their process of bribing all of the townspeople where they shot to somebody's got to get a little bit of kickback for this so that we can get electricity, and how they went through that process, and they shot everything in that movie basically in a auditorium of a school, of an abandoned high school. They built all of their sets inside, but to get to use it, they paid $5,000 to rent this place for 3 months. But to pay $5,000, they had to pay out all
everybody.
So
it's
going to do
Russia almost.
Yeah, but so and so's going to get craft services, and so and so's going to get this, and to get. But they still saved money, but whatever. So he's telling that story, and then you attach to that, you could get a little, a 10-minute meet and greet, a virtual meet and greet, FaceTime with him, and he came up, and he was they obviously gave him a name. He's like, "Hey, Casey, what's going on?" And started talking to him, and I said, I wanted to do this so that I could thank you for the advice you gave me to as an actor to check back in on things. Well, good for you. You actually listened to that advice, and I never took it myself. I should have gotten out of this fucking job.
I should have became a photographer
years ago. And he was but then he was he immediately went into, what are you doing now? And he wanted to know how my life was going.
So you paid, your wife paid to hear him talk to you, and yet for 10 minutes you talked about yourself to Bruce Campbell.
No, I mean, not just he was just really kind and really interested in he was so what do you do? And I told him I'm a photographer and mostly do weddings, and he was man, the pandemic must have just punched you in the nuts. And I was yeah. And I said, then my parents died, and he was what? And I told him a little bit about that, and he was and that fucking sucks. Yeah. And he was just commiserating and talking about his dad had died. He was talking about we were having a real human conversation, and that is one of the reasons I that reinforces my love of his work. He's very much a craftsman. He's a guy who depended very much on physical work, amazing physical comedy, especially in his youth, which he can't quite do anymore. He's his late 50s at this point. But he's very much a tradesperson, and approaches it that way, and I really respect that from somebody who truly cares about their fans and really finds them to be important, and their lives are important to him, not just as somebody who shows up and gives them money for stuff.
Well, it's funny because as much as Bryce and I love Bruce Campbell, Murray's going to even be more happier to find out that Bruce Campbell is now
Mesmerized for life.
Nice.
Mesmerized for life.
All right, so you're also charged with, I don't know which one you picked. You were going to give us a mystery. You can add somebody else or put forward to put them on one of our other lists. Now, you may get vetoed because that does happen on this. If one of us does not agree with you, and if you're giving doubted or undoubted, we have to go through their list of movies. So, what have you chosen?
I'm going with not good.
You're going doubted?
Doubted.
Okay. I'm excited. We don't have a lot of people on our doubted list, so.
And I mean, what is this thing? Doubted is the. It's not the whatever the step below that. Not like mesmerizing.
Okay, so for our listeners who haven't heard before, if someone is mesmerizing, it means that they have their last 8 movies. Oh, sorry, mesmerizing means they're mesmerizing in everything.
Yes.
Sorry,
Right.
and it doesn't matter who else is in it; they eat up the scenery. Repulsive is the reverse of that. If they're repulsive, it means every time they're on screen, you want to either punch someone or throw up, or both. And then doubted means that the last 8 movies that they made, they have to be mondo, and they cannot have a meh twice. So, and that can
There's
be
got
by
to be
either
no mondos, and they cannot have back-to-back mez.
yes,
It's got to be all bad, basically.
yeah. So if they get 2 mez back to back, and it can be by any one of us, so that now includes you. So we rate each film based on who you put forward. If you're doing doubted or undoubted, and then that film, if we go through their list and they don't fit the criteria, then they don't make it on the list.
And ironically, if you're undoubted, you also can't have back-to-back mez.
That's right.
Right. That's the trick of the trade.
Yep.
Yes.
My nomination is Dave Franco.
Dave Franco. Okay, I love this.
Dave Franco.
Because I don't know if... so you're putting him on for doubted, I'm assuming, not undoubted.
Yes. Doubted.
Okay, so that's actually a really good choice. So his last film he made was called Day Shift, which I have not seen yet.
Haven't seen it.
Maybe it's not
I've
out.
seen it.
Oh, you have seen it?
It's out. It's out on Netflix.
Did you see it? Is it a rage?
Yes. It's a meh.
Okay.
It's
So he might, you're now going to the one before that. So you have to decide because if the one before it, we've already reviewed it on our podcast, and it was 2 rages from both Bryce and I, which is 6 Underground. Was that a rage?
6 Underground. Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
so
man, was it a rage.
Yeah, that was a big rage. And then
That was a huge fucking
Zeroville.
rage.
Zeroville was also a rage.
All right.
Yes.
6 Balloons, which I've never seen.
Never seen.
So we might have to go back to that. The Disaster Artist, which was a meh, actually. I didn't
That
mind
was
it.
a meh.
Okay. The Little Hours was a meh, so it was 2 mehs back to back. Damn it!
Yeah.
Damn.
But do you find him repulsive?
No.
Neither do we.
I don't find him repulsive.
Yeah.
That was a quick strike. Now, you had somebody else you were going to put forward on Mesmerized that you told me about. And he's in a new
For
TV
mesmerizing,
show.
I was, yeah.
Give
For
it to us.
mesmerizing, I was Jeff Bridges,
Actually.
which I don't.
Bryce, what say you? Is Jeff Bridges mesmerizing?
I'll go yes.
My reason, where I thought that got questionable, was Seventh Son.
Also, the one
Which was not his best work.
Yeah, but he could still be mesmerizing in the film. So the movie could be the worst movie ever made. But if they're if it's the worst movie ever made as far as you're concerned, then they can't be on anything. But
Right.
except Repulsive.
One of our weird.
It's Bryce's weird rule, and apparently it sticks. But
As my rules
the other,
generally do.
The other thing he was
It was
in.
the weirdest. that movie was the weirdest sequel to The Big Lebowski that I've ever seen.
Yeah. The only one that, and I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna go have to. Maybe someone will dare me to see the Tron 2, because I don't seem to remember he was mesmerizing in that. Was he?
Well, he wasn't even really in it. He was just a computer generated weird thing. He wasn't in it.
Well, no. There were the weird de-aged parts of that, and there was but the thing was, there was the de-aged Jeff Bridges that was him when he was supposed to be younger, but then there's also the de-aged Jeff Bridges that is a computer program.
Yes.
So there's just so much confusing. Jeff Bridges, is what you're saying.
There's a lot of Jeff Bridges in that movie, and it was not the. I love the original Tron so much.
Yeah, so do I. I love it.
I commonly use the line, "Why did I write so many tank programs?" When I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that he was the best part of that movie.
Well, I may go back to watch Tron Legacy.
I think right now he's on.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens in the future.
Well, the great thing about it is, unless someone's saved, if they get up against Viola Davis or Frances McDormand, they may not last. That's so far it's been.
I don't think he's been in a movie with either of those, but maybe.
The ones he's.
Yeah, no.
Is that one that's Sarah Goats? Who's.
The Men Who Stare at Goats has a bunch of people in it, but it's like Kevin Spacey and.
Might be Frances McDormand.
Ewan McGregor and George Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think he was the best part of that. Stephen Lang. I love Stephen Lang. There's a lot of good people in that, but I still think that Jeff Bridges' character is the best part of that movie.
Yeah. That might be one we have to revisit just to see.
Well, now that we've put him on, it'll give Murray a pretty big list to go back to. Because John Goodman and him are both in The Big Lebowski, so...
Oh, yeah.
Damn, we might have to go watch a good movie.
There you go.
Hey, man. That's my favorite movie of all time.
There you go.
It is a pretty damn fine movie, so you've got good taste, me bucko.
All right.
All right, so... All right, we've got some Rage or Dare.
Dun, dun, dun.
Casey is going to dare us to see a movie for our next episode that he thinks is going to make us rage.
Keeping with my own rage of unnecessary remakes, I'm going to dare you to see the 2015 remake of Point Break.
No.
Yes. Will you break, or will it be pointless break?
I love it. I'm a little frightened, actually.
Because
I have a feeling it's going to be really, 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 really.
I think you're going to be really angry at this. I actually created a list. I was like, and I picked from it. If you guys ever want another bag to choose from, I got some shit that'll piss you off.
Nice. Well, you know what? We are always...
At some point, maybe we'll have a Casey bag. We'll be able to pick from the Casey bag.
If you choose to. There's some...
Oh, there's some bad movies out there.
There are some... But I also looked over your list of repulsive, and I was like, oh...
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize these people are in a movie together, but they are.
That's something we've never done, is like a repulsive off. Who's the most repulsive?
Well, I tried to introduce that to you, but you were too afraid. You said, do we have to? Because that's going to scare me.
Maybe.
I
don't really recall that. But
the exact same words, but I'm kind of game for that, actually, now.
Yeah.
Because I think... Isn't Cameron Diaz... Oh, no. What's his face came off repulsive? Oh, you're never named. Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. He was on... No, sir. He was on Doubted, but he got off.
Yeah.
Just like I got off after seeing his last movie.
Too much information.
Or not enough. One of the two. All right. So we are going to be watching Point Break 2.0, is what I'm hearing.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
It's
Looking forward to it.
Like, it's one of those ones that just leave it where it was. Like,
oh yeah,
Patrick Swayze's rolling over in his grave.
I feel that original film is just like, it is perfect for its point in time, and you have to understand that that's why it's a fun movie. It's that period of time when it was made. You don't need to remake it and update it. It's so bad.
And we get to watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't believe I did I don't think I've watched it.
The first time?
Yeah,
I didn't
don't
watch
think-
it because it came to cinemas and I was like, why would I see this?
Yeah.
Is
Right.
Keanu Reeves in it? Then I'm
see-
not seeing it.
I see everything, so I'm thinking I must have seen it, but I don't think I did.
You didn't see
watched it
The
on
Hottie and the
TV.
Naughty also, and it came to cinemas.
That's true. I have now, though, Jim. We'll be... Yeah.
We'll be talking about that
Yeah.
this week.
Paris Hilton.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
so hot.
So
I
hot.
can't believe that. That's so hot. You guys.
Howdy,
yeah,
I'm
and I
Casey,
do have a whole
host of the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. Are you curious about photography? Perhaps you run a creative-minded business? Then you'll want to tune into the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. Episodes feature stimulating interviews and discussions, as well as a little bit of totally useless information, all set inside the frame of a science fiction comic book adventure. So what are you waiting for? Adventure awaits. Head over to nerdyphotographer.com or find the Nerdy Photographer Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey.
Does that sound
Yeah,
familiar?
sounds pretty fucking cool.
Doesn't it? Now, is there anything else you would like to tell our listeners about you, your podcast, or life in general?
About life in general, take it easy. Just, the dude abides. That's my become more and more my motto these days. The podcast does not take itself incredibly seriously. Sometimes we do address serious issues, but we're more about getting into exploring our own creativity and the things. It's not just about photography all the time, but it's about living your life in a creative way.
Right on.
And it is how I fell in love with this man and will continue to love him till the end of time. All right. Well, thanks again, Casey from the Nerdy Photographer Podcast, for coming on our show. Pew, pew.
Thank you.
And for the talent that you bring our show every week. Thanks, Ragers.
Bring the rain.
Nice. Thanks, Ragers, for listening. Thanks to the extended Film Rage family. You can find our show notes. Find us on social media everywhere at Film Rage YYC. Check out everything Film Rage at filmrageYYC.com. We're always wanting to make this a raging blast for all listeners, so please comment, like, subscribe, and send us emails to filmragecalgary@gmail.com. Dare us to see terrible movies to fuel our rage, but no matter what you do, please, 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 make us rage. That's it for this week. We'll be back in another week. Now, rage on.
Rage on.
Rage on.
Nice.
I said rage on.
Rage on.
Yeah.
Rage